Have you ever sat in a quiet moment and thought, when did things shift between me and my children? You remember the countless years of raising them, changing diapers, walking the floor at night, comforting them through heartbreaks, and celebrating their victories. You gave up weekends, skipped vacations, sometimes even set aside your own ambitions so theirs could grow. Now, when you speak, you're interrupted. When you offer guidance, it's brushed aside. When you need a hand, they're suddenly unavailable. And deep down, there's a hollow feeling, as though you've become less visible in the very lives you helped build. If you recognize this, you're not the only one. Many parents face a season where the roles start to reverse. Once, you were the protector, the teacher, the one they ran to first. Now, it might feel like they see you as more of a bother than a blessing. That kind of hurt cuts deep. The instinct is to react, to remind them of your sacrifices, to push back, to withdraw, or to raise your voice. But demanding respect rarely restores it. There's a more effective path. One that's quieter, stronger, and more dignified. That's what we're exploring today. Shift 1. Letting go of approval chasing. One of the most common ways respect fades is when we work too hard to keep the peace. Without realizing it, you may have said yes when your heart wanted to say no. You may have gone out of your way to help, even when you were tired or uncomfortable, just to avoid disappointment. Perhaps you've rearranged your day to babysit, even when you felt unwell. Or you've tolerated a sharp tone to avoid being labeled difficult. Here's the truth. The more you seek their approval, the less they feel the need to respect you. Not because they're unkind, but because human nature values what stands its ground. Margaret, a mother of 3, believed that stepping aside and letting her grown children make all the decisions about her home, health, even her money, would keep everyone close. Instead, they stopped asking for her opinion. She thought she was preserving harmony. What they saw was someone they no longer had to take seriously. Respect grows from self-respect. When you always put yourself last, you unintentionally teach those around you that your needs matter less. And people respond to that. It's okay to say no. It's okay to set boundaries. You're allowed to speak up when something feels wrong. You are entitled to space in your own life, and you don't need anyone's permission to claim it. Shift 2. Stop arguing. Start leading. When someone talks down to you, it's natural to want to fight back. Do you know all I've done for you? Frank, a retired teacher, understood this well. His students respected him for decades, yet at home, his grown children talked over him, dismissed his concerns, and mocked his suggestions. His first response was to argue, but every disagreement turned into a shouting match. Nothing changed. One day, Frank decided to approach things differently. He stopped trying to win debates. He still shared his perspective, but with calm and composure, without trying to force agreement. He began to carry himself like someone who already knew his value. The effect was striking. His children started listening, not because he yelled louder, but because he projected quiet confidence. When you respond to disrespect with steady self-assurance, you send a clear message. I know who I am. I don't need to prove it. You don't have to fight for respect. You can live in a way that naturally earns it. Shift 3. Emotional independence. You adore your children, of course, but tying your sense of self-worth entirely to their attention. How often they call, visit, or show affection can tilt the relationship in the wrong direction. Helen went through this. After her children moved out, she called them daily, reminding them how much she missed them. She meant it as love, but it had the opposite effect. They began pulling away. Eventually, she decided to turn her energy toward herself. She joined a dance group, met friends for lunch, read books she'd been meaning to open for years, and even started painting again. Her phone began to ring more. This time, her children wanted to know what she had been doing. When you find fulfillment in your own life, you stop chasing connection and begin attracting it. People are drawn to those who live fully. Shift 4. Boundaries invite respect. Boundaries are not about building walls. They're about teaching people how to treat you. If your children constantly interrupt, make decisions without including you, or speak to you in a belittling tone, it may be because those patterns have never been challenged. Robert, a former business leader, experienced this. In the office, he commanded respect. At home, his grown children cut him off mid-story and rolled their eyes at his opinions. At first, he let it slide. But one evening, after a particularly sharp comment, he waited for the room to settle and then said, "You don't have to agree with me, but I expect to be spoken to respectfully. If that's not possible, I'll excuse myself from the conversation." He didn't argue. He didn't threaten. He set a clear standard. Over time, it changed the way they spoke to him. Shift 5, giving with intention. Generosity is a beautiful trait, but giving without limits or appreciation can breed expectation instead of gratitude. George, a father of 3, was always the one to help, lending money, fixing things, changing plans to babysit. Even in his 70s, he never hesitated to drop everything for his kids. But when he needed help after surgery, not one of them showed up. They were all too busy. That moment changed him. George decided he would still help, but only when it was truly needed and when it was valued. Sometimes he'd say, "I can't that day, but I can help next week." Or, "I'll assist if you handle these parts." At first, his children were surprised. But over time, they began to thank him more because his help was no longer assumed, it was appreciated. Living beyond the parent role. You are not just someone's mother or father. You are an individual with your own story, passions, and dreams. When you create a life outside of your children, whether it's travel, hobbies, classes, friendships, or simply enjoying your mornings your way, something powerful happens. Your children begin to see you not just as parent, but as a whole, vibrant person. That admiration doesn't come from guilt, it comes from respect. Final encouragement. As you claim your space, speak with clarity, and live fully, you'll notice the tension easing. You'll no longer wait for scraps of appreciation. You'll stand taller, not because your children have changed, but because you have. Love and respect are not the same. You can love deeply and still set boundaries. You can care and still say, "That's not okay with me." That's not harsh. That's healthy. Ask yourself, where am I giving away my power? Start with one small shift. It may be saying, "I'm busy that day," or "I expect respectful conversation." Over time, these small steps create lasting change. You are worthy of love, dignity, and peace, not because of your past sacrifices, but because of who you are today. Thank you for sharing this time with me. If you've ever felt unseen by your own children, know that you deserve better, not because of your past sacrifices, but because of who you are today. Your voice matters, your presence matters, and the respect you long for begins with the respect you give yourself. I'd love to hear your experiences. They might help someone else. Leave a comment, and if this message supports you, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more daily videos. You are strong, worthy, and never alone. Living with dignity is the most powerful example you can set.